How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Zelda World Championship Challenge. We are currently in the finals, even though the layout says top four. That's my bad. Forgot to fix that. But we're going to get right into our finals here with between Average Pikachu and Arash Ommati. So we're going to see Tapu Lele and Duskmane Necrozma lead off for Average Pikachu, while Arash goes with the Kangaskhan and Incineroar lead.
That Psychic Terrain taking any fake out pressure off of the board. And Arash running this kind of standard-ish team that we've seen recently cropping up, with Kangtorn. Team got top 8 at NAIC, which is in stark comparison to Average Pikachu is running anything but an average team. But turn 1, Kangaskhan knows that this Lele is not Choice Scarf, it's Focus Sash, so it's able to just outspeed and immediately double edge as the Incineroar goes for a U-turn off to get into this Xerneas as Trick Room goes up from that boy Mufasa.
Yeah, this Trick Room goes up, and wow, we're actually going to see the Araquanid come in here. So this is very interesting because I don't think we've seen Araquanid in any of the matches we've featured Average Pikachu in. So, I mean, if he's bringing in Araquanid, that likely means he has that Kyogre in the back. But he does have to be wary of Arash switching in his Groudon here because, I mean, other than his Kyogre, he doesn't really have any ways of ensuring that Araquanid will get an attack off here. But that rain-boosted Liquidation could be devastating to something like the Groudon switching in at an untimely time, and also Xerneas if it tries to, get off any damage.
It's kind of free for Arash to switch in the Groudon, right? Because Average Pikachu and Trick Room, both of these Pokemon are faster, so there's no way he can switch to Kyogre and still hold the weather, and that's exactly what Arash decides to do. Goes for Protect on Xerneas, gets that free switch in the Groudon, which surely Average Pikachu was probably expecting. Maybe wanted to get off that Photon Geyser, though, into the Groudon on switch in, though. Not into the correct target, went to the Xerneas instead. But now, the field, Average Pikachu does have his Kyogre in the back, and he can threaten to switch to Kyogre and a powerful Water-type attack into basically whatever he wants. And since Arash actually protected his Xerneas last turn, if he switches in the Kyogre and uses a Water-type attack into that slot, there's actually nothing that can take it. And on the other hand, Groudon wants to switch out because Groudon wants to, win the Weather War again, come back in. Groudon doesn't really want to protect here, especially if Kyogre is switching in. So he could also potentially go for a water move into the Groudon slot as well. And yeah, that's exactly what we're going to see. The Kyogre switch in.
Yeah, I was going to say that the Kyogre switch in here is pretty free the next turn because now that you've switched in Groudon here to mitigate the water type damage from the last turn, is that you can switch in the Kyogre here on the next turn and then just be guaranteed pretty much a water type attack. And we're going to see the Hydro Vortex going into the Incineroar switching in, so Arash smartly switching out his Groudon in anticipation of the Kyogre switch in. Xerneas goes for the Moonblast into the Araquanid and does a bit of damage. The Incineroar switch in was kind of smart there because it does lower Araquanid's attack stat, so it even makes it even less potent on the field. But with Groudon coming back in here, these two water types are going to be pretty much helpless in the harsh sunlight.
I think Araquanid does it have a way to reset up rain again? I think it does, doesn't it?
Does it have something like roleplay or skill swap?
Entrainment. What does entrainment do again?
Entrainment gives the opponent an ability.
Okay. So entrainment would only
set entrainment would get rid of Groudon's ability, I think.
Yeah. It could get rid of the
it changes the target's ability. It changes the target's ability to match the user. So if Araquanid went for entrainment on this Groudon, that would get rid of Desolate Land.
Yeah, so then it would give Kyogre the chance to get off like a super powerful water type attack. And there's 2 turns of Trick Room left, right? So this Groudon can't just protect to stall it out. It'd have to protect and then switch into Kangaskhan on the following turn. And you don't want Groudon to go down here because if Groudon goes down, then the Necrozma Duskmane in the back just wins this game. So the key here for Arash is being able to not let his Groudon go down and, put alive to deal with the Necrozma. Also stall Trick Room. So in order to do this here, you probably expect him to have to, protect Groudon on this turn, either go for an attack or Geomancy with Xerneas. Then on the next turn, protect Xerneas and switch in Ishkan. And I think that's probably what we're going to see here. Yeah, as the entrainment goes into Groudon, Water Spout fails, and that Geomancy comes off.
Yeah, so we're going to see a pretty much free Geomancy there for Arash, and all Arash needs to do now is just protect his Xerneas to to stop any damage from coming into it, and also, well, I mean, the thing is that if you switch into Kangaskhan, regardless, this Kyogre and this Kyogre is going to be able to get a hit off this turn. However, it's going to be not doing a lot of damage since there's not going to be any rain up. But I think this is a pretty obvious switch out into Kangaskhan for Arash, because he needs to be able to preserve this Groudon in order to stop not only the Kyogre from doing any damage, but also that Necrozma from stopping the Xerneas sweep.
And also, Psychic turn ends this turn, so if Kang does get on the field and doesn't get KO'd, he also gets Fake Out Pressure next turn, which of course is incredibly valuable.
Yep.
Gives Xerneas an extra, chance to just Moonblast something here. I'm trying to think if Average Pikachu has any outs, right? To the Protect switch to Kangaskhan. Maybe he could switch Kyogre out on this turn and go for a Water move into the Kangaskhan. Maybe that's one of his best plays, because then he could maybe double Protect on the next turn and try to get Trick Room up a second time. So maybe that's a way that Average Pikachu can kind of get around Arash's game plan here, because Average Pikachu, seems like Arash is reacting to Average Pikachu. Yeah, but if Arash actually, successfully does react to Average Pikachu, there's no way he can beat it. And that's exactly what he does. He able to get his Necrozma Duskmane on the field, get Kyogre off the field, and also the wide guard is insanely important there as well, because think about it. This Xerneas could have just gone down. It's pretty ballsy not to just protect it there, right? But Average Pikachu covering the potential Xerneas, just going for an attack with that wide guard, also a great play.
Yeah, that was a fantastic play by Average Pikachu, guys. Not only is he able to keep his Kyogre in the back so he can, challenge this Groudon's weather, but he also uses wide guard correctly, predicting the Dazzling Gleam to come out. But I mean, if you're Average Pikachu, you're still at a bit of a tricky situation, right?
Maybe the wide guard wasn't that good at the end of the day, because now he can't protect after using wide guard. So Kangaskhan kind of has a free Fake Out into the Necrozma Duskmane and a free Moonblast into the Araquanid, and there's nothing that can really be done about it. Yeah, he's gonna have to switch in the Kyogre just to try to keep 3 Mons here to not lose the Weather War. As Moonblast goes into that Kyogre, almost gets it, but now he has to switch back into the Araquanid. Maybe try to set up Trick Room or switch into Araquanid and bop the Xerneas, because if he's able to do that, then I think he might be able to take the game from that point. But if this Kangaskhan has Roar, as these ones commonly do, then Arash might just be able to spam Moonblast and Roar, and there might not be anything Average Pikachu, and Xerneas almost certainly would live a Sunsteel Strike.
Yeah, this is definitely
not much Average Pikachu could do about it.
Yeah, there's really not much he can do about it, because just Arash is threatening so much speed and so much offense against Average Pikachu. Is not really going to be able to give him a break here to set up something like Trick Room or get his Araquanid or his Kyogre in a good position, especially since they're pretty low on health. So I mean, that just makes them easy pickings for Xerneas. And I think with the combined power of Xerneas and Groudon, this game is looking pretty much over. Yeah, I don't think there's really much Average Pikachu can do in the positioning game in order to put his Kyogre and his Araquanid in a position to take out the Groudon so that he can set up a Duskmane endgame. But yeah, it's just not looking good in general.
Because he just Moonblast Roars here. It forces Araquanid out in the field, and then he can just double edge the Kyogre, Moonblast the Araquanid. Actually Dazzling Gleam here. Better than Moonblast since it, gets the extra chip. But I'm trying to think, maybe he can, read the Roar, switch into it. No, switching in doesn't work because you need Dazzling Gleam, right? I'm trying to find maybe ways Average Pikachu can get around this. Maybe he has to go for a misplay with Arash. Yeah, with just, Protect Trick Room and hope that Arash doesn't have Roar or doesn't use it. And he goes for Bite, which probably is a sign that he doesn't have Roar. I would say.
Well, usually, usually they accommodate both Roar and Bite. But I think the thing is about Pado's team is I think Pado had Low Kick on his Kangaskhan and had Roar on his Roar on his Groudon.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
I think he has a Roar on his Groudon, which is a bit of an interesting mix-up from the normal Torn Kang teams. But I think if Arash is running a similar version to Pado's team, then he should have Roar on Groudon, and I think Low Kick on Kangaskhan instead. But that does allow Average Pikachu to get a Trick Room up.
Huge.
Yeah, in the end, he still has to contest with Groudon on the back, which kind of which is, I'm not sure if there's much Average Pikachu can do about that, especially with Kangaskhan still being pretty healthy. Yeah, I don't know.
It's almost certainly losing the weather war, right? Because Groudon just switches in here. Xerneas goes for a Dazzling Gleam. At this point, he has to just hope for maybe an Ice Beam plus Sunsteel Strike either KOs the Xerneas or he gets a crit with the Sunsteel Strike into the Xerneas to get rid of it.
Yeah.
That's probably like his only out at this point. Because even if he tries to switch to Araquanid, then it just goes down. Maybe actually, I'm not sure if Araquanid's able to take it down. That's at how much health right now?
Araquanid's definitely in KO range. It's very heavily
Oh
damaged.
yeah. Way. Um, I think yeah, he's just got to go for that Sunsteel like crit. Maybe goes for a misplay on Xerneas protecting and Kang not switching out. That's also maybe another option. You just go for like a Photon Geyser Ice Beam or a Sunsteel Strike Ice Beam into the Kangaskhan or Water Move probably if you're reading or if you're going for the misplay and hoping that the Groudon doesn't come in. So maybe that's also another potential option. Just Water Move and Photon Geyser into the Kangaskhan.
Yeah, it's still a pretty tricky situation for average Pikachu because you need to find a way. You need to find a way to maneuver your Kyogre in under Trick Room to a point where it can still keep the rain up. And I think just keeping that rain up in order to mitigate Groudon's presence on the field is essential for average Pikachu to win this game. But we're gonna see Groudon switch out here for the Xerneas, so Arash not even caring about his boosts anymore. Honestly, probably doesn't even matter that much in the long run considering Trick Room is up, but that double edge into Kyogre going to pick up the KO. And with Groudon here and no way to change the weather, Araquanid's looking kind of useless, and Dustmane is quivering in the fear and quivering in front of the potential Groudon attack here.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Would Sunsteel Strike have actually KO'd the Xerneas there?
I think from Duskmane I think we saw Duskmane Sunsteel Strike KO as Xerneas from full earlier, but I'm not sure if it's a roll depending on the investment. I know I saw this Duskmane KO as Xerneas from full earlier. I'm pretty sure we saw one die from full earlier.
Okay, yeah. Our fault then, because then of course that's obviously the objectively correct play, getting Groudon in there and getting rid of the Kyogre. Because I mean nothing can switch into that double edge. I think he would have to be like physical, right, in order to get the KO there. And with Ice Beam Chip as well, that's
Ice Beam
important. And the Xerneas is like probably no bulk as well.
Yeah, Ice Beam Chip would have definitely helped.
I was thinking that he's modest typically, but I mean we don't know if he's like full physical or not. If he's modest, probably wouldn't get it. Being like any form of physical, yeah, because even if he's adamant, right, like there's no point to risking like whatever the set is, right? Because even if he's adamant, then I mean this play works, right? Of just switching the Groudon and getting rid of the Kyogre. What does Kyogre switch into? Kyogre switches into Araquanid, and he gets it anyways. Again, for that entrainment play, as we see the Photon Geyser go off into that Kang, the KO though, and Xerneas comes back out.
Yeah, with Xerneas coming back in, Groudon's still threatened to be KO'd here this turn by this Ultra Necrozma, but I mean with Xerneas, that means you have to devote the resources to KOing Groudon or Xerneas, and Xerneas is obviously not going to get KO'd even to a Z move since there's no terrain. But Groudon, I mean, you can honestly win. Arash can honestly win the game with either Pokemon here.
And I think this is kind of proof also that the Araquanid has or only has the water move, right? Like he has Wide Guard, Entrainment, Protect, and whatever it's called, Liquidation. That's what it is.
Yeah.
As like his move set, because with Groudon on the field, he wasn't able, or he could only entrain, right? Like he couldn't use any of his attacks, couldn't use any water moves. But Arash smartly able to stall out that Trick Room with his Xerneas, and now Trick Room can win this V1 versus the Araquanid, and he can take the W.
Well, at least now, I guess that damage calc there for average Pikachu is nice, because now you can see how much Liquidation did to the Zern without the rain. It's a 2-hit KO.
And you can also see, that the Z move is going to pick up the Oko as well.
Yeah.
Because, just by the way that the Z moves scale up. So heading up into game 2, if there's anything differently that average Pikachu wants to do, I think he's probably faced a bunch of these teams at the tournament, right? Like, there's no way this is the only gone into this matchup. So that strategy that we saw previously, with Braquinid, the entrainment strat, probably what he's used to just spamming the entire time, and it just didn't work. Right? Like, the game plan that he has to beat this team just didn't work. So he has to now find a way, if he wants to try to do the same things but just be more aggressive with his reads to try to gain more position, if that's an option, or if he wants to switch any of his mons. I don't think he wants to switch any of his mons. I think he wants to go with the same four. One of the things that he could switch up was, one, he lost his Tapu Lele for free, right, to that double edge. So maybe you could try to avoid that, but instead decides to go with this Lopunny, which actually works decently well here because it's faster than both of these Pokemon. Can get a fake out against both of these Pokemon, and also can threaten a high jump kick against both of these Pokemon.
Yeah, I was gonna say that Lopunny might be a reasonable adjustment too, because we saw the Kang instant lead last time from Arash, and obviously Lopunny could do super well against both of those, and Lopunny just having the speed and the ability to get the faster fake out and get stuff, threaten some other supportive options like Encore and just a lot of disruptive options, and just having that speed and that access to high jump kick is super valuable. So I think Lopunny is a neat adjustment here. I think it helps against these two, probably not too much against Groudon or Xerneas, but it sort of gives average Pikachu an edge in the whole fake out positioning game.
It's also kind of a little bit awkward, right? Because Arash has two things that can fake out. Average Pikachu only has one, so it's kind of like a mind game a bit on like which he wants to fake out. And he goes for the fake out into the Incineroar. Kangaskhan goes for the bite into Mufasa. Does he get the flinch? Does he get the flinch?
Doesn't get the flinch,
He
so
doesn't get it.
Get some free damage on this
And he gets the
Kangaskhan.
Photon Geyser off. Yeah, I think it was actually a good play, like not going for Trick Room there, because think you don't really want to go for Trick Room with Lopunny on the field, especially when you threaten the Incineroar and the Kangaskhan both with high jump kick on the following turn. But Arash able to get his Xerneas out onto the field, and probably it's just there, so he probably just wanted Xerneas out so that he could cycle Incineroar right back in. Because I mean, you probably see Incineroar switching right back in on this turn. High jump kick is relatively free to go into that Kangaskhan slot as well. And yeah, that's exactly what we see. Incineroar able to take that. Xerneas able to get rid of the kicking time Lopunny as Trick Room goes up.
Yeah, Xerneas interestingly decides not to protect or go for Geomancy here, so just risking the potential Sunsteel Strike to go into it. But I guess at -2 special attack or -2 attack, it would be able to live the Sunsteel Strike. However, it's not going to live it comfortably. We're going to see average Pikachu go into the Araquanid here, and we're kind of in a similar position that we are into game one, where we have to play the game of, okay, so which weather is going to switch in, and we have to play around. I guess now, since Arash knows for sure that this Araquanid has entrainment, it kind of gives him the edge in terms of how he's going to play this. But I mean, average Pikachu could just make some reads and get himself in a better position to get rid of this Groudon, because I definitely think getting rid of this Groudon is going to be the game plan here for average Pikachu, because he definitely can secure a pretty solid end game if he is able to put his Dustmane in a good position against a Xerneas.
And Arash, as like we saw in game one, was super, super safe about protecting his Groudon, right? Like, he realized that his Groudon's the most important piece in this matchup. Because, I mean, for obvious reasons, to stop this Kyogre. And we see Incineroar go for that fake out, able to stop any type of attack from coming out. Sunsteel Strike, okay, does tons of damage there. Definitely doing over half the Xerneas there, even though it's at minus half attack. So that's pretty much confirmation that it's modest Duskmane just by that damage output. It's most likely, I think it might actually be Adamant, to be perfectly honest, based off of the damage output there. I think that it's either Adamant or it has like a decent amount of investment in attack, I think.
Yeah. We're going to see Arash switch in his Groudon here as, we're going to see the Liquidation come off from Araquanid into the Incineroar, but it's going to fail because Groudon comes in. And now with that Duskmane gone, I mean, it's not that bad for Arash, but the thing is, or it's not that.
You can just sack his Kang here and get that the free switch into. Oh no, he actually goes into Xerneas instead.
Yeah, so
gonna get sacked here. and he's going to be able to bring out Groudon and Kang at the same time to face off against the Kyogre and the Scuttlebug. And now I think he's in a good position, right? Because he can just fake out into the bug. For attacks with Groudon. I was thinking like he could sack off the Kang and then maybe win with Groudon and Xerneas because he could double protect, and then after that he could just use Groudon and Xerneas to keep doubling into the bug. But Kangaskhan being at more health probably just safer because you can just fake out the bug to stop any sort of entrainment from into Groudon. You can fire punch the bug as well, but maybe there's like some plays the average Pikachu can still use to get back into this, right? Like maybe if he protects Araquanid from that double up, and the Ice Beam comes off into the Kang, maybe it puts Kang into Ice Beam range on the following turn as well. The double up would probably go right back into the bug when Trick Room ends, and then it would be 1v1 Groudon versus Kyogre. And this is a special Groudon as well. Oh yeah, there's no Fire Punch. It's special Groudon. Fire Punch.
Yeah.
It's just Eruption.
Yeah.
So he's got to fake out Eruption here. He'll probably want to double protect to not get hit by the fake out Eruption. Oh, wait, no, because Wide Guard is lower priority, or same priority as Fake Out, doesn't it? So you can actually Wide Guard on this turn and potentially attack with the Kyogre. But if he goes for that play, if he goes for the Wide Guard, you could just, maybe Ice Beam into the Kangaskhan. I think the Kyogre beat the Groudon 1v1, can't it? It's full special.
It would depend. I feel like Kyogre wins that at full HP. I feel like Kyogre wins that 1v1 because I feel like Ice Beam does more damage. But considering Groudon has some help from Kangaskhan here, I think it's more weighted in the Groudon's favor.
Groudon's favor.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was trying to imagine like if you got in a situation where it's just Groudon full health versus Kyogre for full health, but the fake out does go into the bug. Actually could have potentially been a Wide Guard there, which would have completely thrown this game, I think, in the favor of average Pikachu, as he would still, have this Kyogre at full health. He'd be able to try to deal with this Kangaskhan. The thing is, like, the bug does in this scenario, other than potential entrainment, right? Here you could probably just protect Groudon and double edge into the Kyogre. And there's nothing the Araquanid can do. You can just protect double edge to the Kyogre. If Kyogre doesn't protect the next turn, you can just Earth Power. If it does protect, and next turn you can just double edge Earth Power again. But oh my goodness, it has Icy Wind.
We now see, we see the
No
Icy
protect?
Wind. Yeah, no protect from this Araquanid. Yeah, because I was thinking like, wait, we've never seen this Araquanid click protect. So I mean, like, what could its last move be? It's probably protect, but I didn't see Icy Wind coming out. That's very interesting. That actually, I don't know how much that changes though, because this Groudon. Well, okay. See, the thing is, like, Kangaskhan.
Ice Beam gets this Kangaskhan.
Yeah, Ice Beam knocks out the Kangaskhan, but I mean, at the same time, Araquanid's still probably not faster than this Groudon, and still probably can't do anything besides possibly entrain the Groudon. But
Wide Guard though.
You could Wide Guard.
Wide Guard to stop any eruption. If Groudon Earth powers the Kyogre, then you can entrain the Groudon, set Rain back up. If Groudon goes for eruption, you have to Wide Guard to stop the eruption.
Yeah.
Icy Wind. Oh man, what a reveal. I don't think we've seen that all day. Yeah. I think this is the first time it's come out.
Yeah, Araquanid you don't think is the kind of Pokemon that would... Oh, wow. So Kangaskhan is just faster.
Oh, Kang outspeed still.
Regardless. Yeah, this must be a very, very, very slow Kyogre. Which means it's definitely not going to be able to stand up to Groudon and live 2 more Earth Powers.
Yeah. That's going to be the end of it.
Yep. Just going to wait for these turns to go by. And the critical hit is going to seal it. And Arash, Ommati from Italy, former 2013 Pokemon World Champion, will be your champion today of the Zelda Worlds Challenge. And he will be taking home $530, $31 as a part of a deal that was struck between Arash and Average Pikachu to split the prize money more evenly. So instead of Arash taking home about $650 and Average Pikachu taking home about, like, what was it, like 200 or something? Like, basically, like 20%. Wait, not 20%. It was like 10% maybe? I don't know. I don't remember how the math works, but basically the prize money being split up more evenly to first and second place. And yeah, that's going to be the end of it. Congrats to
Yeah.
Arash. Really well played set. Average Pikachu, very huge congrats to Average Pikachu. Like, this is a player that we've really never really heard anything about, and he brings this wacky, innovative, creative team to all the way in this really, really competitive online tournament, and manages to hold his own against some of the best players, some of the best players in the world.
Yeah, one some of the best players in VGC history,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, that was an interesting set because like I feel like that matchup could have gone either way, but I feel like Arash kind of knew that. I feel like
Rosh had a game plan.
he
That was
definitely had a plan
yeah.
going into it because like I feel like he reacted in a way to the point where he kind of expected entrainment was coming.
Oh, definitely.
It just
And
seemed
when
like
you see Rakuen and Kyogre like that, that's like typically the first thing that I would expect. You go for the entrainment into the opposing Groudon, just to get rid of the weather. Go for your water type attacks. Then once the Groudon's gone, you can rely on your Duskmane to pick up the rest of the pieces.
yeah, that was just a really I think Arash's game plan was super solid in that game to close things out. And yeah, he just sort of played the game as if it was going according to plan, and yeah, it's just a really well played game overall. Like I mean I was really like I was really impressed with Average Pikachu's play throughout the tournament because he was playing super well throughout the tournament, and I think he definitely gave Arash a run for his money in this game too, even though Arash definitely had the upper hand in terms of having the game plan.
That first game was super close because looking back, right on the Groudon switch him, whenever Groudon switched him for the Xerneas, they've gone for a Photon Geyser instead of going for Sun Steel Strike and gone for Photon Geyser Ice Beam. I don't maybe would have gone down on switching. It could have been close. I don't know how Photon Geyser works. I don't know if like Photon Geyser would have been a physical attack in that situation. I really don't know how it interacts, how that mechanic works. But if Photon Geyser was special, I'd imagine that Photon Geyser plus Ice Beam might have had a decent chance to get rid of Groudon there.
Yeah.
Especially since it's, no Bolt Groudon.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the end game was just rough regardless, considering now we realize that after the Icy Wind play that we saw that Kyogre were still slower than both Groudon and Kangaskhan. So I think that end game was just really rough in general.
And I feel like if he had gone for that wide guard play, like before the fake out, maybe that could have helped him a little bit, right? Because then his Araquanid might have been able to go for like a I guess another Protect Icy Wind doesn't really help much since the Groudon would still have speed anyway. And after you go for wide guard, I mean, your Araquanid's kind of dead in the water. But I mean, if the Kang was going to double edge into the Kyogre, I mean, Kang probably doesn't double edge Kyogre there if Araquanid still has all that health that it didn't take from the eruption. I think he might have still had it on lock, but I'm not sure if Double Edge could have even got the Araquanid at that point. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look. I can't remember the exact amount of damage it had. But either way, I mean, super well played to Arash, one of the best players in Pokemon history, proving why he's still one of the kings of the game.
Yeah, definitely reminding us all today that he is one of the greats still. Definitely putting on a very impressive performance. Very impressive performance in this tournament, and I'm assuming he's qualified for Worlds, and we'll be seeing him there. Hopefully to put up another impressive finish because he did finish in the top 8 last year. So definitely a favorite from Europe to do well at Worlds this year. But with that, guys, that is going to conclude our coverage of the World Championship Challenge hosted by Zelda VGC. Just want to give a huge thank you to Zelda for hosting these tournaments and really giving the VGC community some really solid grassroots tournaments, really well-run grassroots tournaments. And, these are some really good tournaments to not only practice for tournaments that they raise money for people to go to, but also just, good tournaments to award money to players that maybe didn't have enough money or resources to travel to these kinds of tournaments, to actually give them some money to make traveling to these events to a little bit more easy, because obviously skilled players deserve to compete at the highest level in these tournaments that can allow people to do that. So also, yeah, huge thanks to Zelda for hosting these tournaments, but also allowing Mount Silver to stream. And thank you to Mount Silver for having Lou and I to commentate. It's been a long
Heck
day.
yeah.
It's been a really long day, but it was really fun. We
Yeah,
saw
it's been brutal. I feel like our commentary, like last couple sets, wasn't as good as it was earlier in the tournament. That bit just because of fatigue, right? Like we've been
yeah,
commentating since like 1. It's been like 7 hours straight.
yeah,
I don't want to see another Xerneas click Geomancy for another solid 3 weeks until World starts. Let me tell you that.
yeah. I was about to say like 3 more weeks until we still got 3 more weeks until Worlds. And we got a couple tournaments going around in the community right now, so I guess it kind of I don't know if it would give it an accurate snapshot of World's meta because I've seen stuff all over the place. But I mean, I think World's meta. I think, in my personal opinion, World's meta is a huge mystery at this point. I have no clue what is potentially going to do well at Worlds because I feel like there's a lot of different things that can do well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but yep. So once again, huge shout outs to Zelda. Huge shout outs to Mount Silver. Huge shout outs to Sam BGC for TOing the event. He was really good in the chat. Shout out to all the players. You guys did great. Really glad you guys were able to give us some good stream matches. As for Mount Silver, make sure you guys can join the Discord with the link in the description. Link below the stream. You can also follow Mount Silver on Twitter with the link below the stream, and make sure to subscribe to Mount Silver's YouTube channel, where all the VODs from not only this tournament but the last tournament that Mount Silver hosted, the Mount Silver Win a Switch Invitational, which had some really good matches in it. All the VODs will be uploaded there at some point soon in the near future. And yeah, I mean, I guess that's pretty much it. Make sure to drink a lot of water. And you guys can follow Lou and I at our Twitter handles on the screen to the left. Is there anything else you want to say to the people, Lou?
Let's see. Oh man, put me on the spot here. If there's any, this is my 15 minutes of fame, isn't it? Man, if there's anything I could tell you
You've
guys.
been on mic all day. You could have said anything
Yeah, I
all
know,
day.
right? It's my 7 hours of fame.
Yeah.
But if there's any message I could give out to the people, finish school, go to school, take it seriously, and as mentioned previously, drink water, eat your veggies, and enjoy your life. That's pretty much it.
Some wise words to end the stream off on. But with that, we are out. This has been a fun tournament. Had a really good time. We will see you guys soon. Mount Silver up in the content creation game. Worlds is in 3 weeks, so we'll be back. We'll be seeing you guys soon. But till then, take care. Have a good evening, morning, wherever. There's people all over the world playing in this tournament. But until next time, guys, later.
Peace.